Hello, have you ever wondered how you can expand your role in nursing? Perhaps as a legal nurse consultant, or perhaps you're looking for some advanced knowledge in legal nurse consulting. I am Barbara Levin, and I am co-hosting this third virtual Legal Nurse Success Conference with Patricia Iyer. The conference dates are March 4, 5, 6, 2021. Have you ever wondered about criminal defense and participating in that area? The healthcare expert in federal criminal defense is a view of how a healthcare expert, such as you, the nurse, can be of assistance in criminal cases. Joining me today is attorney Simon Purnell, and he is a federal and state defense attorney located in Texas, and he's licensed also in New York, Illinois, and Missouri. He is a litigator with vast experience in complex criminal and civil litigation in state and federal courts throughout the country. Mr. Purnell represents white-collar crime defendants, corporations, individuals, and governmental entities in the areas of product liability, pharmaceutical litigation, commercial disputes, and mass torts. Welcome, Mr. Purnell.
Hi, Barbara. Thanks for having me.
Could you share with us a little bit about your program and the role of the legal nurse consultant?
Of course. I'm excited to talk about how the legal consultant or the nurse legal consultant can assist in the defense of cases that are brought in federal courts and maybe to some extent state courts. But really, I was going to focus on federal criminal prosecutions. Although I am on the defense side, I think it's also important to note that there's an opportunity on both sides of the docket. I know that the prosecution or the U.S. attorneys often use experts, at least healthcare experts, to prove up their cases, primarily on the sentencing side. But on the defense side, I think it's important to get the word out that a healthcare expert can be invaluable actually in the defense of these cases, because we're addressing a wide variety of issues from beginning to end of a prosecution. So during my presentation, I want to just kind of give a sort of 101 of federal cases and how they go, and find the points within that prosecution or the defense of the case where I think you could insert the healthcare expert to assist the attorney in getting a better result for their clients.
And I understand that there are times that you are certainly looking to reduce the sentence or negotiate for a house arrest. And in those circumstances, the legal nurse can be invaluable by assisting in review of the medical records and talking about the situations that have arisen.
Absolutely. On the federal side, unfortunately, we spend a lot of our time on the sentencings because they do bring pretty solid cases to begin with. But so we're left with the sentencing and what the outcome should be there. So as an entry level kind of question for the nurse, it's can you assist the lawyer in understanding what's going on in the person's, I suppose, healthcare picture. And the healthcare picture is usually made up of medical records, and we're not really good with those. So it's good to have someone who understands the language, the vernacular, and can get through those records and really dig through piles and piles of information, and get us to the part that'll help us the most. So just initially, it just helps us understand what's there. On the other side, it's also it's almost like diagnostics, even though that's not what you're necessarily doing. You guys have enough, I think, expertise to point us in the right direction and see if there's some issues we should be addressing.
Have you noticed big changes with COVID?
I have, and we're as every criminal defense lawyer out there, we take advantage of situations. And one of the things we're doing is, because of the very high level of infection in the prisons, we're using that in mitigation of sentences, kind of an Eighth Amendment argument, which is sort of a cruel and unusual punishment to send someone to prison where they run the risk of getting infected. But more seriously, though, there is the pandemic is bad in the the free world, but in the incarcerated world, it's much worse because you don't have any sort of social distancing or spacing available there. So it's almost a guarantee you'll get infected. And during the presentation, I'll give you a few examples of what I've experienced. And sadly, I lost one of my clients that way. That he actually he had underlying conditions, and then eventually succumbed to COVID and passed away before the case was even over. So it was difficult to explain to the court why he didn't need to be in custody while the case was progressing. So that's just kind of an example that I'll talk about. And really another, I guess, that opens up a little bit what we will be talking about. It's not just sentencing, it's also at the beginning of the case trying to convince the courts that your client doesn't need to be in custody while the case is progressing, arguing in favor of a bond where they usually wouldn't be giving that bond. And especially right now with the COVID problem, we're finding that the judges are much more interested in hearing those arguments. Problem is we're not really good at that because that's not what we do. That's where a healthcare consultant might be able to assist us in explaining the client's physical or mental well-being, using their medical records and then presenting that to the court to give them a good reason to give you the bond. So it's from beginning to end. I think there's a place for the healthcare expert.
You have offered so much insight into your program, and I certainly look forward to attending. I encourage everyone to attend our conference, the LNC Success Conference, March 4, 5, 6, 2021, and I want you to see the link below. Please join us. You'll hear much more from Attorney Purnell and others, and hear about opportunities for work as well. lnc.tips/March 2021 virtual. We look forward to seeing you.